questions that you guys had from our tiny house tour with the Ministry of Magic Tiny House Q&A.
Momskwa.
No.
Momskwa.
Momskwa is the worst hashtag ever. No Momskwa.
You're a Momskwa.
You're a Momskwa.
Momskwa.
Shut up. This is the worst. I dislike.
No, then they're gonna dislike our video. Thumbs up this video.
Okay, wait.
Off to a bad start.
Yeah.
Let's just do the Q&A, yeah?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Are you ready? We're gonna quiz you so hard on your tiny house.
Alright, let's do it.
Number 1. Who built your tiny house? How much did it cost? And what does the price include? That's a 3 for 1.
Okay, it was built by Brevard Tiny House Company in Brevard, North Carolina. It was $55,000 and it included pretty much everything. All of the appliances and everything are built in. The oven, the stove, the fridge, the bathtub, the washing machine, all of that was included. The couch was made into the design. It just did not include my bed, my TV, or my vanity table. Everything else was in it for 55 grand.
How did you find your builder?
I talked to a lot of different companies in the beginning to feel out what was best for me. And a lot of them were either overpriced or unresponsive or just didn't seem up to the standards that I wanted my house to be. And then one morning, my mom sent me a message on Facebook and was like, yo Jenna, check it out, Brevard Tiny House Company.
She's also obsessed with tiny houses.
She also doesn't talk like that. But
she's
anyway.
like, what?
So my mom told me to check out Brevard Tiny House Company, and so I sent them a message, started going through the process of getting a quote from them, and they were just so great right from the start. Like, super responsive, answered any questions I had, wasn't annoyed by me or anything.
Which is a task, let me tell you.
And I was super happy with them from the very beginning, and I knew it was right for me.
When you know, you know.
When you know, you know.
Okay, so how long did the build take? Did you participate in the actual building process?
The build itself took about 4 months. I did not participate in building a single thing. I don't know how to build anything. Yeah, no. Like, I need help, like, hanging a picture. It is not cute. But the research process before building the house was probably about 2 years of me researching and figuring out what it is that I wanted, the logistics of it, and all that.
How big is the tiny house and what is the square footage?
Okay, my tiny house is 8 feet wide from side to side, 24 feet long from those sides to side.
Very technical terms.
And 13.6, so 13 feet 6 inches from the ceiling to the ground. You have to include the wheels and the trailer when you're planning your house, because I originally was like, 13.6 inside is street legal for bridges and stuff like that. Cool.
You want to take the top of your house off when you run into a bridge.
I don't want to do that. It's like a convertible house.
Woo! Party.
So make sure you take into account whatever the distance from the ground to your floor is when you're planning how tall the inside of your house is.
About yay much.
Bigger much.
Science. Okay. And speaking of running into bridges, is it small enough to move and is it legal to go on the road?
Yes, it is small enough to move. It is built on a trailer, so it has wheels. It can be dragged around all over the country. Yeah, it can be
and towed,
around,
not just dragging. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so heavy.
It is street legal in the sense that it's basically like an 18-wheeler. It meets all the requirements of the road.
In the United States.
In the US.
Don't know about anywhere else.
Different states have different codes for that, so check what states you're driving through before you drive your tiny house.
And kind of more on knowing about the laws of where your tiny house will live. Where is your tiny house located and how did you find parking?
My tiny house is located in North Carolina. It is important to know your laws of where your house is going to be as far as zoning codes and things like that, because you wouldn't want your house to get kicked out of its home. The laws vary all over the state, so certain places are more lenient, certain places are not. So you just have to really get into the dirty of figuring out what is okay and what is not okay. What was the second half of the question?
How did you find parking? Which actually is like the #1 question that we got on the video. Like, nobody knows.
It's a great question. It's actually really hard to find parking for a tiny house, let alone that the laws are making it really difficult. Aside from that, you have to be able to consider that you need power, you need water, you need the things that are going to make your house work. For finding parking, lucky for me, I knew someone who would let me rent some of their property. There is a regular sized house on the lot as well. It helps with the laws of needing a structure with a foundation and all this stuff that it's very boring, but it's hard to do. It's hard to find parking.
I'm just gonna take a nap while you talk about this one.
But some recommendations if you are looking into this. RV parks are probably your best bet at this point in time because they do have hookups. Being off-grid would help tremendously, honestly. Then you can kind of like hide your house somewhere.
That is some great legal advice, Jenna.
I'm not a lawyer. I can't get in trouble for that, right? But there are a couple websites that I'll put right over Alexa's face.
On my face?
Yep. You have websites on your face.
Ah, they tickle.
Those are really good resources for looking at available parking near you.
Okay. So what the hell?
I've been waiting for that to happen. I closed the tree in my window and it's been kind of up ever since.
Okay. What kind of water do you have? How does it work?
I use city water. I don't have a well or anything. I am connected to the big house. It goes through this hose and then straight into my house.
Fascinating. Tell me more.
Interesting.
Not, please don't. I don't care.
What is the plumbing situation?
So I have a composting toilet in here, so I don't have any black water created in my house. What I do have is gray water. Gray water is any water that goes through your house, through the sink for doing dishes or the shower, any of that, and it all collects in a surge tank underneath my house. A surge tank is a big tank. Do you want to see it?
Let's just look at it.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
Back outside.
So this is my surge tank. What happens is, actually, can I just show you?
Yep.
Okay. Under here.
Oh, we're getting down.
Oh yeah.
Under here are all the pipes that come out of my house, and that takes the water into the surge tank over there. And from there, it goes out of a little hose that it's really hard to show you, but it goes out of a hose and it goes into the bushes over there.
So the cool thing about a surge tank is that you can move and direct where you want the water to go. It's really important that you don't just collect all your water in one spot all the time, because that's how you make sinkholes. It will flood, and
then your house will fall into a sinkhole.
And
it'll be gone forever. Goodbye, tiny house.
So, with using a surge tank, you can direct the water into different places and you can move it around. It's a great option for dealing with your gray water. If you're using non-toxic soaps, that's very important.
How do you have power? Is your house off-grid?
I wish my house was off-grid, but solar panels are very expensive. That is in my future timeline of my plan, is to make this off-grid, but for now, I can't. It uses a 50 amp RV outlet and plugs into a little post. Do you want to see it?
Gonna get some power. Woo! Ooh, it's muddy. I'm gonna tell you about some power. It's fascinating. So all the power from Jenna's house comes into this one little plug right here. Aww. And this is a 50 amp RV outlet that powers her whole entire house. This property did not have hookups for a tiny house or an RV or anything like that. So Jenna had this power pole set up in the yard to get this location all ready for her tiny.
Does your house have internet? If so, how? I'll take this one. Of course it has internet. I wouldn't even visit this girl if she didn't have internet in her house.
So they make these things that are like Wi-Fi extenders. So the big house has Wi-Fi, and then I bought a Wi-Fi extender that plugs into their house that shoots the Wi-Fi out into the yard for me. But I have lived in places before that wouldn't work.
If you don't have a big house to...
I saw it. It's huge. Why is it so big? Okay, grab it. Another option, if you don't have the luxury of a house with Wi-Fi hooking you up, is something like this. This is a jetpack. So you load this guy up with whatever amount of data you think you'll need, and then you use this as a little mobile Wi-Fi guy.
Like a hotspot.
Like a hotspot. So this has worked for me in the past as well. Not great for streaming, but good for regular Facebook or whatever people do on the internet.
Facebook. Do you have heating and AC? What kind, and does it work well?
I do have heating and AC. It works really well. It is an LG mini split. Living in a small space, it heats and cools very quickly, and I have not had any troubles with it. Has this handy remote that I can control from my bed if I change my mind.
The actual unit itself is up here.
Wait, the camera.
Come with me.
Okay.
How long have you been living in the tiny house? How does it differ from living in a regular apartment?
I have been living in the tiny house since March.
It is now January, by the way, at the moment of filming this, so almost a year, but not quite.
Yes. And it does not differ from living in an apartment for me. I haven't had to give up anything. My lifestyle is pretty much exactly the same. You just learn how to modify your routine to fit your space.
Have you moved the house, and do you plan to?
I have not moved the house yet. I do plan on moving it around a good bit. That's why I got it. But for now, I'm very happy where I am and happy to have the possibilities to move it in the future.
Is it hard to move?
There are a lot of steps to moving a tiny house. I don't have a truck that can move it personally. Also, I'm not a very good driver, so I wouldn't really want to move my whole house. I would have the builder probably move it for me.
They're the ones who brought it here.
Yeah, they delivered it in the first place, and then they leveled it and got it all ready for me to live in. I trust them with everything.
So what inspired you to move in to your tiny house?
Well, I work in the film industry, so I move around a lot. I move around every 6 months or so on different jobs in different locations, and I got so sick of renting apartments in all these different places, and then their like leases would overlap, and I'd have all these bills. I'd have all of my stuff just scattered everywhere, like all over the state. I'd have like stuff here and then stuff there, and I like couldn't find anything. And I hate moving, like I hate packing so much. So I got to a point a couple of years ago that I was gonna buy a regular house. I was super excited, and then
North Carolina lost its film incentives, and all of the film work was like, later, see you guys never, bye.
Yeah, I was actually really glad that the timing worked out, that I didn't purchase a home that I would never be able to be in. So I was at work one day and I was like, I hate packing, I hate moving. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna be renting forever. I'm also spending $1 million on rent for no reason. And then, ding! What if I build a tiny house? And it just seemed like the perfect solution to all of my problems. I wouldn't have to pack anymore. I would always have somewhere to live. I wouldn't have to rent a million different places. It was affordable. It was actually cheaper than paying rent for me because I always rent apartments by myself. So this is just a better financial decision for me.
It's just that nobody wants to live with her.
No, I don't want a roommate. Bye.
I don't want to be a roommate. Just kidding. I would be your roommate.
Whatever, you're not invited.
Okay, bye. The battery! Wait! How did you get money for the tiny house?
I work a lot.
She works really hard, you guys. She works really hard.
So I worked a lot and I was able to save some money, and then I was able to put down a down payment on my tiny house and then finance the rest through a personal loan. A lot of people have trouble getting loans for tiny houses because they're not RVs and they're not mobile homes. People don't know how to classify them. But if you have good credit and a decent down payment, then you should be able to get a personal loan, and that's how I did it.
From the bank. Okay. So why didn't you make it yourself to save some money?
I don't know how to make anything. I wanted it to be made well, that I could live in it for a long time and it wouldn't fall down.
Do you ever feel claustrophobic in your tiny house?
No, never, not once. I have lots of windows, lots of doors, lets in a lot of natural light, so I don't feel claustrophobic or that I'm in a small space.
How do you make the bed? Oddly enough, one of the top questions on the tiny house video, nobody knows how you make your bed. Demo?
I'll show you how I make my bed.
And while you're up there, are you ever scared that you're just gonna fall off?
No, I'm not afraid of falling off. You can put a railing up if you are afraid of falling off. The direction of the bed,
her feet are at the end of the loft, so unless she's like doing somersaults in her sleep, she should be good. What are the dimensions of the lofts?
Both the lofts are the same height. The taller side is 4'1", so I could sit up there comfortably without hitting my head. And the shorter side is 2'8". They are both 8 feet across. And the only difference is that the sleeping loft is a little bit longer to hold my bed, but other than that, they're exactly the same.
Does your dog go in the loft? We got a lot of questions about this from your original tiny house Instagram. Her stairs used to have these cute little blocks on them because his legs are so stumpy. He can't climb like the normal stairs.
I actually won't let him go up there because I am afraid he's going to fall off the bed. He's a little squirrely in his sleep. He moves around a lot and I just don't trust that he won't fall.
Okay, we got some more doggo questions for you.
Yes.
Okay, what kind of dog is Hal and what is his name? Is Hal. And are his legs okay?
His name is Dr. Jalapeno Potato Poletti, and he goes by Hal for short. He has a German Shepherd head on a Basset Hound body. So he has
exactly what he
head,
looks like.
Little legs. Are his legs okay? I hope so. I don't know. The vet says they're okay. They look crazy, but they're okay.
Is it hard to have a big dog in a tiny house?
No, it's not hard. He spends a lot of time outside.
It's a big part of tiny living is making you go outside.
Yeah, and he's also super lazy. He sleeps a lot, and when he doesn't want to sleep and he wants to play or exercise, we go outside and run around, and there's plenty of space out there for that.
So to kind of wrap this whole thing up, tell us a little bit about the pros and cons of living in a tiny house.
There are way more pros than there are cons. The biggest pro for me, which is the reason that most people, I think, get into the tiny house movement, is that I will be debt-free by the time that I'm 30. I will have my house paid off.
Yeah!
And then all of the money that I make from working will be for traveling and saving and spoiling Hal with new bow ties. Another pro, like I said before, is always having a home all over the country I can take with me. It's adorable, it's cozy, I love it. You have a smaller footprint on the environment, so you're not so you're not damaging the environment so much. Cons to living in a tiny house are, it would be hard to have a family in here. It's just me, and I feel like there's plenty of space in here for me, but if you start adding other people and kids and cats, ew, and all of this stuff, it becomes really, really small really fast, I think. Another con is probably insurance. It took me a really long time to get insurance. I did finally get it, but it was very, very challenging. And the only other con I would have is parking is really hard to find. But once you find it, then you're good.
Okay, very last question. This one's for me. Here you go.
Dear Alexa,
yes.
Would you ever live in a tiny house?
No! They are adorable, don't get me wrong, but it is not a lifestyle for me. You guys all know, probably, I love fashion, I love crazy wigs and hair, and I love cosplay, and I love makeup. She has a closet loft for all of that, but mine is an entire room in my house that is just like my playground. And like this is too small for my lifestyle.
Do you like to visit?
Oh, I love to visit.
Okay, good.
I just don't like to, I don't have enough space for me.
You can leave my tiny house if you want.
Goodbye, I'm out of here. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. But that is the end of this video, so I am leaving. That's all of our questions for this month class.
No!
Yes, it's a thing. Sorry, it's already a thing.
Not a thing.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Okay, so I hope that answers your questions about tiny houses and tiny house living. You did a great job today, Jenna. Woo!
Yikes.
We made it. That was a long one.
That was a lot.
Woo! Thanks to you guys who made it to the end of this video. If you want to see more of the tiny house, if you haven't checked out the tour yet, you can watch that here. If you want to see us build a replica on The Sims, you can watch it over here. Subscribe to our channel because we have a new tiny house series coming soon.
We're really excited.
Yeah, subscribe to that here. And we will see you guys in our next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!